Hey everybody, Coach Stefan Rudolph here. Recovered Coaching is my program, and I'm checking back in after almost 8 years of posting my first big video up of epilepsy and overcoming epilepsy, seizures, brain surgery, and a long history of epileptic issues in life. And it seemed to inspire a lot of people. I would say it didn't go viral, but it was one of my bigger videos. And I really didn't put much, say, thought or passion into it at the time. But I knew, I had that passion, and I still have it for epilepsy and what people deal with, and epileptics that go through the seizures, go through the hardship in life, go through losing their license, relationships, jobs, their life, because of epilepsy and seizures. So I made that video, and you could probably just look it up on here, of course, on my YouTube channel, or just Google Coach Stefan Rudolph Epilepsy, and it'll come up there on YouTube. So it was made out of the desire to answer questions about a holistic route. That was the main thing, was what did I do personally to overcome epilepsy when medication wouldn't work, when brain surgery didn't work, when addiction didn't stop, when it came to alcoholism and drinking, when seizures returned, because of later what I found out were DTs, delirium tremors, were the related areas of my life and not changing my life. What did I do to finally overcome epilepsy when medication didn't work, when the system didn't work, I call it. Being in pharmaceutical sales some 25 years ago and in the industry of prescription drugs, I'm noting that I'm not against the drugs, but at the same time, my body needed something else besides prescription drugs. After 20 years, I would say, from a time period of 1988 from my football injury in high school until 2007 for brain surgery. So literally almost 20 years of medication. The side effects were tremendous, and the medications didn't work. They would work for some time period, let's say a year, 2 years, 3 years, but the list of medications began with Tegretol, Topamax, Depakote, Keppra, Lamictal, all these medications that were set for schizophrenia sometimes. What I found out later, ironically, when I worked in assisted living later in life, the exact same medications were there for people with Alzheimer's, dementia, and it says schizophrenia, and I was taking them for epilepsy, which is what they're made for, seizures. But at the same time, the side effects began to take effect on me, not only physically but mentally and emotionally. I could tell something was not right. And when they stopped working one by one, sometimes I was on usually Tegretol and then Topamax, and then they would up the dosage after 3 months or 6 months. And I wasn't having a lot of grand mal seizures. I didn't have more than, say, 12 in my life. But I had a lot of petite malls. I would tell them I had a lot of auras, a lot of small malls, a lot of issues in life with feeling like I was just zoned out for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, come back in, smacking my lips, people would say, talking, blah, 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 just mumbling my mouth, not coming out straight. So there was a lot of petite malls, small malls, 3, 4, 5 times a week on the average. And then they would up the dose of that medication. They would up it again. And Topamax, I don't remember the exact medication, but when I look back on the milligrams, the dosage, it was crazy to be taking 3, 3, and 3 a day, having side effects, just not being able to communicate well from the medication itself too, being sluggish, being tired, run down. The dentist told me one time when I was getting some teeth work done, he asked me, he had to take me aside literally at the dentist's office, ask his staff to leave the room, and he just goes, I need to know if there was a background of drug use. And I'm looking at him like, drug use? No. I drink beer. I'm an alcoholic at the time, I told him. And he goes, no, did you ever use methamphetamines? No. Did you ever use whatever? Just went down a list of drugs, heroin, crack, whatever. No. I've never done anything. And so I was like, why are you asking me that? Well, your teeth, your jawline is that of someone who has used drugs for many years. I said, the only drugs I take are that list of drugs. Well, okay, that makes sense. And to him, that was the answer. And to me, that was the answer. It planted a seed in me sometime after my brain surgery in 2009, 10, I think it was, that I had a tooth pulled and had a lot of work done. And when he said that, I started doing some research online here and there over the years, and then more and more when I sobered up in 2012, to realize that the side effects of this medication on me personally, this is not telling you what to do. I'm not a doctor. Don't take my advice, all that legal mumbo jumbo. But at the same time, my body was just nobody to somebody. But to me, it was the one body that mattered most. Not just a nobody, not just somebody, not just anybody, but that one body was my body. I had to pay attention to it. I had to look at it. I had to study it. I had to recover from it. I had to begin the new me. I had to do what I call Control-Alt-Delete. Reset your mind, reset your life. And I began to stay focused on life, in life, for life, through life, with life, by starting over and realizing I am what I eat. I am what I drink. I am who I surround myself with. And most often, in this case, I am the prescription drugs I take. So what I did was replace medication with meditation. This kind of blew the minds of other people out there. Again, Control-Alt-Delete, reset your mind, reset your life. And it didn't reset me right away, but in 2011, a year before I sobered up, before I looked up, before I got up, and before I grew up in life and sobered up, I started meditating. I started paying attention to what I was eating, and of course what I was drinking. This drinking lifestyle was every night for me, though. I was going to the bars, going to restaurants, having beers at lunch. It was pretty excessive in 2012. My sobriety date is October 10th, 2012. But at the same time, I had to own the moment of now, and I had won the moment of life. I just had this shirt on, kind of randomly. I have a lot of shirts, but this quote came to me back then. Now own one. That's what now stands for in my mind. Own the moment of now, and you've won the moment of life. And I started realizing that even during alcoholism, even during addiction, even during escapism. This is why I was recognizing where my petite malls were coming from, where my small malls were coming from. Now it's obvious, of course, alcohol, partying, bar lifestyle, lack of sleep, mismedication, the medication I was on, at the same time wasn't conducive with my body, and those jaw problems I was having, those teeth problems, the side effects, I had a lot of acid reflux too from drinking. I had 4 endoscopies back in the day. That's the acid reflux issues. And endoscopy is having the tube expanding your esophagus from gastroesophageal reflux disease. So I had a lot of that due to my lifestyle. Ironically, I sold that medication too. So I studied the medications I sold back in the day and promoted back in the day for the pharmaceutical company were later medications I ended up on, whether it was SSRIs, antidepressants, blood thinners, or in this case, acid reflux, proton pump inhibitors. I ended up on it because of my lifestyle. And going back to that connection that I had is I realized the medication that I was trying to take was getting caught in my esophagus a lot. Sometimes I had to open up the medication, put it in water, drink it, or if it was a tablet, I had to dissolve it somewhat because it was constantly getting caught. But I look back on the spiritual perspective of my life, and my body was saying, stop. My body, mind, and spirit. The body, the mind, and the spirit. The spirit, to me, you can be religious, you can believe in God, or you can believe in that higher power, but that's the passion. It's in your heart. The action is in your mind. Passion, action, passion, action. But in between is a mouthful of excuses. I found that out the hard way by drinking the excuse to get sober away, drinking the passion away, dissolving the passion, and keeping the ego up here. The action, I can handle it, I can drink. So the medication, connecting back these dots of thoughts and these processes in my life, the medication was not good for me. The medication was not the issue. It was my lifestyle. Personally, the epilepsy from the brain surgery I had gone away in 2007. May 9th, 2007, brain surgery. By August 2007, I was off all medication. Yet by February 2008, I had another DUI. I had a DUI in 2002, 2005, 2008, 2012. again, from a successful pharmaceutical career, married, $1 million home in Anaheim, having everything by 2002. By 2005, I was homeless, living with my parents, brain surgery in 2007, started drinking in 2008, DUI, and again, this whole process came back to my lifestyle. I had to change it. But the challenge was I couldn't do it. I couldn't face it on my own. I had to look up to a higher power. I had to pray. I had to focus. I had to say, I need this help. And by 2011, 2012, before my fourth DUI, before I was facing prison time, before I was nearly dead, digging my own grave, I finally realized the medication I was taking was not working. It was the lifestyle I had to change. So by that date, in October 9th, 2012, the DUI night, by October 10th, I was done. I was in jail for 6 weeks at that time, facing prison time, and luckily, another higher power thing, God willing, I stayed out of jail and I said thank you. But that 6 weeks in jail, I got off medication, I changed my lifestyle, I started meditating, I started praying, I started saying thank you, and I turned the F yous to thank yous in life. And later wrote a book about that 7 years later down the road. In this case, I said thank you because I had to get up, look up, and grow up. And at this point, the meditation was working. I wasn't having grand mals. Remember the last time I told you I had a grand mal? It was about 2010, 2011, or maybe I didn't mention this, but in that time period from surgery in 2007 to drinking in 2008, drinking all the way to 2012, 2009, 10, and 11, massive seizures. I was in the hospital 7 times in 2009 and 10, 7 different times for having seizures. Now, what I thought was the epilepsy had returned. The brain surgery didn't work. It was my lifestyle. It was DTs. It was delirium tremors. Look up delirium tremors. Those are side effects. Withdrawals from alcohol. I was supposed to be on medication, again, because I started having seizures. I was supposed to be back on the medication and not drink alcohol. Every medication said do not drink alcohol. So people are saying, or people have told me, well, it's because you stopped drinking. Or it's, it was the medication that was helping you. It wasn't the medication. And yes, I changed my lifestyle, but it was the meditation. It was the focus. It was the awareness, sleep, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking. I had to get rid of all the sodas, all the crap, high fructose corn syrup, red dye 40, blue dye, yellow dye, all the dyes that we're hearing about now more and more. This is 15 years ago. And I was just like reading the labels and going around with my Google saying negative effects of red dye 40, negative effects of, so I was spending so much time in the store, maybe you've heard about this, but going through Sprouts or whether it was Vons or Safeway at the time, whatever I was in, I was looking up chemicals in frozen foods going, what the heck is this? You can't even pronounce it. Negative effects of blah, blah, blah. And it would say this, and this, or maybe even something would lead to cancer. Or it was chemicals that were in lipstick or chemicals that were in just products that you shouldn't be eating. It was crazy. That all the chemicals that we're eating is what I was eating and digesting, and what I feel was connected to not having a healthy body. Again, there was nobody like your body. There's nobody like your body. You're not just somebody. You're not just anybody. You're the one body that matters most. That's what I told myself when I did that Control-Alt-Delete. That's what I told myself when I reset my mind and I reset my life. This is the incentive for any epileptic out there, anybody out there, any body that is dealing with the body that's not working. What do you eat? What do you drink? On ChatGPT these days, and on any app or especially AI, where you can track your food, track your habits, track how you walk, or how often you walk, you run, you work out, everything. Start doing that. So one thing I can suggest, again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not prescribing you anything, but I did prescribe by subscribing to a new life. I did prescribe by resubscribing to my old life to understand it, but not live in it. I couldn't live in the past. The past was depression. The future is anxiety. If we live in it, we become it. What's going to happen? What will happen? The anxiety caused a lot of my stress, a lot of the seizure problems. The depression didn't help. I was living in the past. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Then you should all over yourself. That's what Tony Robbins told me. I thought that's funny. You should all over yourself because I should have done this, I should have done that. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, then you're dead. And then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I don't want to do this. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to have a seizure. What you think about, you bring about. You process it all the time. What you think about, you bring about. These steps are very basic, but it's what worked for me. It's what I'm coming back to you on this channel for. If you can subscribe, like, and share, that's appreciated, because I'm going to put more of this on there about how I changed my lifestyle, how I connected the dots of thoughts, what I did to have that command to expand in me, through me, for me, by me, and started writing, started journaling. And then with these apps, going back to that, you can find the negative effects of what's going on in your life. You can find the negative effects of why you're having anxiety, depression, seizures, everything related. Again, this is not, you're going to hear this in your mind right now. I know you because I know me. And in that mind, our ego says, what is Coach Stefan saying there? He's like, you mean I can cure myself? That's not going to happen. For those of you that's not going to happen, thumbs up. Hit me a thumbs up right there, because you hear that in your mind. And you know what? It will happen. It can happen. It is happening. It is taking over you, meaning the positivity is. It's a battle of what can happen and what will happen. It's a battle of the ego versus the heart of passion. The heart of passion says, that makes sense. What he's saying, I need to pay attention to. Now, are the seizures going to go away? Is the anxiety going to go away right away? No. But at the same time, you start doing this for 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. And I'd say like in a 28-day rehab, the recycling of your mind, the recycling of your habits, the redoing of who you were, and the processing of, man, I had a seizure yesterday. What did I eat? What did I drink? And I've worked with epileptics, and this does work, because they had processed food. They had a TV dinner. They had frozen food. They went out to Burger King. They went out to McDonald's. They went out to fast food. They went out to whatever, whenever, however. They did something they shouldn't have been. And at the same time, it's processing. And my body was doing the same thing. Whether I was chewing gum or eating candy, buying a candy bar at the store, going to 7-Eleven, Slurpees, Cokes, whatever. Man, I felt this aura come on. What did I eat? What did I drink? Mountain Dew. Oh, man. And I put it down. I'll never forget this. I put the Mountain Dew down from a big gulp or whatever I had at the time, and this feeling went away, and this aura went away. And I was like, oh, it's an aura to anybody that doesn't have epilepsy, but an aura to, it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, the anxiety would start up on a 1 or 2 level, like butterflies in the stomach, the anxiety, and then tingling down the arm. For epileptics that may know that, you get kind of a numbing pain down your arm or your left side or your right side. I was hit on my left side in football, so many times the auras sometimes would come on my right side, but it just varied. And then that was a 3 or a 4, the tingling. And then the anxiety would get worse for a 5 or 6, and I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk straight. I'd be mumbling, and then a lot of people said I was chapping my lips, like. And then my mom and my former wife, when I was married, knew this, and they heard that, and they knew that the seizure problem was happening, and I could have a grand mal. And again, connecting the dots here, the medication did stop the grand mal, but at the same time, I've never heard a doctor ask, what'd you eat? What'd you drink? What's your lifestyle? You know, of course they're going to ask, well, don't drink alcohol. If you drink, do you drink? Do you do this? Do you use drugs? They're going to ask that. But what about the basics of how you sleep, what you eat, and what you drink? I cut out sodas. I cut out the crap food. I cut out anything that kept having these auras come up. Now we're talking over a 2, 3, 4 year period. And I said, this is what I need to do. And that's what I did. So from the time period of having the acid reflux in 2011, not being able to take my big pills like Tegretol, Topamax, Depakote, I was having issues. I was slowly getting off them. I tried the marijuana thing. I tried the CBD thing. It wasn't working. What worked was jail. How's that for an answer? What worked was insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. What worked was being scared straight. When I was here in Vista Detention Facility and Vista Jail in North County, San Diego, 13 years ago, did 6 weeks there, they had the Scared Straight program come through, and the kids where I was 35 years prior, 40 years prior, walking through, seeing those people in jail, those men in jail, I ended up like that. So I had shifted my life to say no more, no mas, I'm done. I cannot drink. I'm not going to, no drugs, nothing. And the prescription drugs, I quit in jail. I didn't tell the staff, the department, I did this again. This is my story. This is not a recommendation. This is not a prescription. I'll put a little clause down here. Don't follow me, but just listen to me. This clause that I did in my own life was I need to change it. I need to fast. I even fasted in jail at one point. I need to understand that the command to expand, to change my body, my mind, and what's going on was in me, and I had that power, and I did it. And every time I had an aura after the jail time, the next year, the 2 years, I didn't eat that food anymore. I didn't drink that drink anymore. I did it all on my own. And I did it all not to show off. I'm not showing off. I'm showing up, I call it. I got back into fitness, started playing racquetball, started working out, started being more aware of what I had to do. I had a year suspension on my driver's license, so I had to ride a bike for a year, a nice road bike. People thought, oh, he's a professional bicyclist, but no, I lost 50 pounds. I got in shape, got myself back in the gym, had that understanding that I had to live in the moment of now. I had to own the moment of life. I couldn't live in the past. I couldn't have anxiety about the future. Had to have my plans down. So this is hopefully an inspiring story for you. And to get back to that answer to the epileptics, what do I do to change my life? What do I do to stop seizures? What do I do to stop epilepsy? I can't guarantee that. But in my life, what changed was a bright idea. The bright idea that had me saying, what am I eating? What am I drinking? So from that point forward, it shifted, it changed. I had to say thank you over and over again. Thank you to the 1000th power. Look up my book down below, subscribe, like, and share. Let me know what questions you have. Check out the other link down below to my original post from 8-9 years ago about my story. I think I called it New Foundations Growth Group. That's what it was when I first started. New Foundations Growth Group. That's grown into a program called Recovered Coaching. Recovered Coaching. Not recovery, but I recovered from epilepsy. I recovered from alcoholism. I recovered from seizures, from depression, from anxiety, from addiction, from escapism, from blamingism. And I turned the FUs to thank yous. And I said thank you over and over again. My book is Thank You to the 1000th Power. Audible and Spotify as well down below. So check this out. Let me know what questions you have. Feed this. Send it. Send it to other people out there. Let them know not to give up. But at the same time, the biggest point of my book and the shift in my life came from the holy shift, the ultimate shift, the 7-year shift, I call it. You've heard of the 7-year itch. Many Gen X's out there, baby boomers. The 7-year itch was a movie back in the day, way back in the day, but it was also a understanding that every 5 to 7 years in relationships, things change, things grow. In my case, I dated for 7, was married for 7, and then divorced. And the next 7 years was horrible in my life. I nearly died multiple times. All those DUIs, all those problems. The next 7 years after that in sobriety was amazing. And now I'm in that other 7-year shift. So pay attention to this in your life. Whether you're 18, 25, 32, 39, 46, 53, 60, 67, whatever the age group is, around that time period, not being exact, but I notice every 5 to 7 years, there's a shift, there's a growth, there's a change, there's a big change, or there's disruption, there's jail, there's institution, there's homelessness, there's everything that I went through. So pay attention to it, live it, become it. Let me know how this has helped you and hopefully inspired you to pay attention to what you eat, what you drink, journal it, chat GPT, use your AI app, negative effects of blah, 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 negative effects of Coca-Cola, negative effects of fast food. And then pay attention. I do this with my reps now in the gym, taking pictures of the workout equipment I use. And I said I did 3 sets of this, 4 sets of this. And so I'm just journaling my whole day through an AI app to be productive with it. And then processing how many calories I burned, how much I played racquetball, how much I ran, doing the elliptical, doing the Stairmaster. So just putting this all together to connect the dots of thoughts with gratitude and find out what's holding you back, what's holding you down. The areas in my book also deal with narcissism, relationships, overcoming those obstacles in life, overcoming your ego in life, edging God out. Mr. Wayne Dyer, thank you. And those areas in life that are having complications for you to take your life to the next level. It's the old you holding you back. The new you is growing in spirit. The old you is holding you back. The mouth full of excuses in between is drinking your way to death. Turn the FUs to thank yous. Again and again, I said thank you. Thank you for the jail. Thank you for the institution. Thank you for the homelessness. Thank you for divorce. Thank you for 25 years of epilepsy, 4 epileptic car accidents, 4 DUIs, divorce, brain surgery, a pulmonary embolism, 4 endoscopies, acid reflux, homelessness, technically and literally homelessness, losing everything financially, but being able to gain everything back physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I got that A plus back in life later, because financially I had it all. But of those other 4 areas, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I was lost. And we can all get those degrees, we can all get those jobs, we can all get the bling bling, we can all get the A plus in life financially, but what are you doing now to have that command to expand? It's ironic with the $1 bill up there, it's a very old picture of little dollar bills all put together to make one big $1 bill. And the gratitude in life. I've turned this off because it doesn't show too well, but at the same time I turn it on and it says thank you to the 1000 power. The command to expand is in me, and I want it to be in you. So know now, to grow now, and take your life to the next level by helping others in the now. Help others to help yourself, your new self. Have that heart of passion. Have that mind of action. Let me know how I can be here for you as well. Contact me on here. Subscribe, like, and share. There's Instagram. There's YouTube here. There's Facebook. Or there's just the Om. So meditation over medication. I love that MOM. Meditation over medication. Let that be your new mom in life. The new mother of life. And turn that M around on both those and spell wow. Because you will be amazed at what you can do when you look up, get up, and sober up. I'm working with a client right now specifically in sobering up. And I know it's hard in that first day, that first week. And then we keep starting over and over and keep falling back sometimes. 30 days sober, 60 days sober, 90 days, but then you fall off. It's tough. But keep going back to those meetings. Keep going to do what you do. Get a sponsor, get a life coach, get a recovery coach. Go through some of my videos in here and you'll see a lot of the story that I have to hopefully take your life to the next level. And I'll be here for you if you are there for yourself. Go now and grow now. Peace.